Have you ever wondered what would happen if the Earth started sinking in the Arctic region? Picture this. Our planet, the blue marvel that we call home, seemingly sinking into the icy, unforgiving waters of the Arctic. Sounds like a plot straight out of a science fiction thriller, doesn't it? But what if I told you this isn't a figment of a writer's wild imagination, but a chilling reality we're inching closer to every passing day? Dive with us into the depths of this chilling reality as we uncover the reasons and consequences of this phenomenon. So, what's causing our Earth to sink in the Arctic? Well, let's dive into the icy depths of this issue. The Arctic, a region of extreme cold and perpetual frost, is experiencing a phenomenon that's turning the world of climate science on its head. The Earth, in this frozen corner of the world, is sinking. It might sound like a plot from a science fiction movie, but it's happening right now. To understand why, we first need to talk about a term you may or may not have heard before: permafrost. Imagine the ground as a giant freezer preserving everything within it. That's permafrost. It's a layer of soil, rock, or sediment that's been frozen for more than 2 consecutive years. In places like the Arctic, permafrost can exist year-round and can reach depths of up to 1,500 meters. Now, due to global warming, this icy ground is starting to defrost, and when permafrost thaws, it releases the greenhouse gases trapped within it, primarily carbon dioxide and methane. These gases, in turn, further accelerate global warming, creating a vicious cycle. This phenomenon is known as the permafrost carbon feedback loop, but the story doesn't end there. As permafrost melts, the water within it seeps away, causing the ground above to collapse or sink. This process, known as subsidence, is why we're seeing the Earth sink in the Arctic. It's a bit like pulling the plug in a bathtub full of water and watching everything descend towards the drain. This process is not only reshaping the Arctic landscape but also threatening the lives and livelihoods of those who call this region home. Infrastructure is at risk too, as buildings, roads, and pipelines built on what was once solid ground are now on shaky foundations. As the Arctic warms, the very foundation of our world is starting to give way. It's a stark reminder of how interconnected our planet's systems are, and why we need to act urgently to mitigate the effects of climate change. Because when the Earth sinks, we all feel the tremors. But what does this sinking mean for us, and for our future generations? Well, the implications of the Earth sinking in the Arctic are far-reaching and alarming. One of the most immediate effects is the rising sea levels. As the Arctic ice melts and the land sinks, more water is added to our oceans. This results in higher sea levels, which can lead to coastal flooding and the loss of valuable land. Another consequence is the change in global climate patterns. The Arctic region acts as the Earth's air conditioner by reflecting sunlight back into space. But as the ice disappears and the land sinks, less sunlight is reflected. This leads to a warmer Earth, which can trigger extreme weather events and disrupt traditional weather patterns. The sinking Earth also poses a grave threat to wildlife. The Arctic is home to a variety of unique species such as polar bears and Arctic foxes, which rely on the ice for survival. As their habitat melts and sinks, these animals are at risk of losing their homes and their lives. But perhaps what's most concerning is the urgency of the situation. The Earth is sinking faster than we anticipated, and the effects are already becoming visible. This isn't something we can ignore or put off until later. The time to act is now. This sinking isn't just an Arctic problem, it's a global catastrophe in the making. Let's recap what we've learned about this chilling reality. The Earth is indeed sinking in the Arctic. The culprits: climate change and global warming, leading to the melting of the polar ice caps. As the ice melts, the weight of the water causes the Earth's crust to sink. This isn't just a local issue, it's a global concern, with ripple effects that stretch far beyond the Arctic Circle. Rising sea levels, unpredictable weather patterns, and increased greenhouse gas emissions are just a few of the potential consequences. These changes can devastate ecosystems, disrupt economies, and pose serious threats to human life and infrastructure. This isn't a distant future scenario, it's happening now. The Earth's cry for help echoes from the Arctic, a stark reminder of the urgency of this issue. The Earth is sinking in the Arctic, and it's not just the polar bears that should be worried. It's time for us to take notice and act.